Good day. Let me tell you why I bought the Nikon ZF. As a professional photographer and videographer, I use Sony cameras at work all day long. And they are great tools for my assignments, and they are perfect tools which I earn money with. But when I'm off the clock, I don't really feel like using them because they have this work tool vibe written all over them. For my personal photography, I just need a different camera. A camera that will help me mentally switch to a different mindset, which is not controlled by a need to please the clients. Last year, this camera for me was Fujifilm GFX 50S. I just loved the results I was getting. Unfortunately, the camera itself was just too bulky and too heavy, so I often ended up just leaving it at home. This is when the Nikon ZF came to picture, so to speak. Its resemblance to my cherished Nikon FM2 Titanium was an obvious plus. However, the biggest selling point for me was its focusing system for manual lenses. As you can see, the subject detection modes work really well, even with the vintage manual focus lenses. However, to make it work, you need a combination of two different adapters, which I will show you later in this video. Nikon ZF's focusing system for manual lenses allowed me to take full advantage of my Nikkor AI glass collection. I had used Nikon cameras for the most of my career as a photographer, but a few years back, when I started getting more video jobs, unfortunately I had to leave Nikon, as video recording back then was their weakest point. Not anymore though, and since the ZF has the same image processor X-Speed 7 as the Nikon Z8 and Z9, the autofocus is all good now. I used to own Nikon Z6, so I'm quite familiar with the Nikon ZF color science, as both cameras share the same sensor and produce the same results. Some people are complaining that the camera is uncomfortable to hold with one hand, but this kind of design was never meant to be used with just one hand. You're supposed to hold it with your left hand by the lens and use the left hand to acquire focus with your manual focus lenses. If you are buying the Nikon ZF because you like its vintage design, you can't really complain about its vintage design. There are modern Nikon cameras designs that will probably much more suit your needs. For me personally, the Nikon's ZF homage to the FM2 model is the very reason why I bought it and why I love it. I even appreciate the small aperture display, which looks like the frame counter window on the FM2. By the way, for those who are interested in the FM2 Titanium model, it was a special limited edition introduced in 1993 with bottom and top plate made of titanium. Another issue people seem to have with this camera is with the screen, which is more suitable for vlogging than photography. And I get it. However, personally, I use it with the screen closed. So my experience is more like with the film camera. And so I don't feel the urge to check each picture which I take right away. The camera is quite heavy, more than I expected, especially if you add the adapter and if you use solid vintage Nikkor lenses which are not made from plastic. I just wish the Nikon ZF was lighter. What really bothers me though is the lack of proper OEM adapter from Nikon for their manual focus lenses. If you want to take full advantage of this awesome manual focus support, I have to use a weird combination of two different third-party adapters with electronic contacts. Currently, I'm using chipped, newer Sony to Nikon Z adapter plus dumb Nikon AI to Sony adapter. Nevertheless, although this is rather niche camera, the combination of vintage design, tactile command dials, which are made of brass, and probably the best ever focusing for manual lenses, I'm finding this camera to be an inspiring tool for my personal photography. At least for now, I am known to have changed my mind. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.